Hello there, and welcome back to the Abyss of Bones. As you can see from last time, we just got 4 kids, which is great, since it means we have more clan members. But the story is far from over, and as the first year of CyanClan is nearly past, the cats wonder about the parasites and when the attack will occur. As they prepare themselves and continue to make their border stronger, each cat has thoughts on their minds. Why are they being targeted in particular? Do the other clans have access to Paradise Hill? What, what about all these kids they've been finding? They don't know, but they know that they have to keep moving forward, especially when their lives are on the line. As the first year comes to be, cats continue to live their normal lives. In the process, the relationship continues to grow. Umberpelt wishes he could get his pelt to shine like frog kids. He's always been an old guy and is rather annoyed at how rusty his pelt is. Froghead, on the other hand, has such a beautiful pelt. If only his was as black as that knight's. Warmstar, meanwhile, sees Wolverine Kit and thinks she isn't being very considerate of us. Kit may be bouncy, but she's also quite pushy, getting everyone quite riled up as she messes around. Whispering Stripe and Dry Shadow echo another plan at the gathering together. After catching sight of Moss Clan, they decide to make fun of them. They're happy to do such a thing since they never liked the other clans in the first place, and hope that perhaps they'll be the only clan to worry about. Jungle Clan is nice and all, but they haven't done much anyways. Whispering Stripe also ended up calling Frogkit the wrong name, because Frogkit sounds an awful lot like Frogkit. And she doesn't really know the kitten very well. Frogkit isn't very happy, of course, and calls her a bad word, but Whispering Stripe isn't too bothered. This isn't the worst thing she's been called. Sparrow Streak finds a bit of fluff that reminds him of Rushmore and thinks about giving it to her. They've been getting along as the moons passed, and this fluff may be indicative of their friendship. Isn't that cute to think about? Rushmore said something that rubbed Warmstar the wrong way. In fact, he rubbed Warmstar quite badly because, well, he's been seen growling in his den again. Rushmore. When will she keep that attitude of hers to herself? He thinks to himself. He watches his clan, and soon hears Flinthall complaining about something Dry Shadow did. Flinthall and Dry Shadow, well, they're in 2 completely different age brackets. Because of that, it's been rather hard for them to get along. Especially since Dry Shadow said she'd covered for Sparrow Streak, but ended up getting Sparrow Streak in trouble instead. The young dame had never been particularly reliable despite her bloodthirsty nature. She's a loyal CyanClan member, but she's also a troublemaker at heart. Sparrow Streak wished that she would be a bit less of a troublemaker. After all, this could be the difference between getting a good relationship and getting a bad relationship. Dry Shadow spends most of the afternoon describing the territory to Whisker Kit, who has taken a liking to her. Whisker Kit seems to enjoy Dry Shadow and continues to ask more and more about the territory. Whisker Kit quickly apologized after bumping into Wolverine Kit, and they have a small laugh about it. The 2 kids seem to be happy with one another, while they occasionally bump into one another. It's all in good fun. Frog Kid thinks Wolverine Kid was nice about her to them today. 2 kids were getting along despite them both being rather troublesome. Frog Kid may have been a bit of a bully, and Wolverine Kid may have been a bit energetic, but they're treating each other quite well, and that makes the adult cats quite happy. Wolverine Kid heard an ugly rumor about Flint Hollow. Rumor has it, Flint Hollow doesn't have his thingies anymore. His thingies? His thingies. Oh, okay. Please stop, Warmstar said to Wolverine Kid, who keeps trying to bring up the concept of Flint Hollow's thingies. Frog Kit thankfully distracts Wolverine Kit and asks how she's doing. Wolverine Kit seems to be quite happy, despite seeming to annoy Flint Hollow today. With that, the cats continue to live their best lives, which isn't very good, but it's better than being out all alone. Warmstar is basking in the sun, still thinking about Rushmurk and her arrogant attitude. Whispering Stripe is worried and others are judging her. As deputy, she always needs to keep a careful eye at how others feel about her. And getting that kid annoying may have not been the best idea. Frog Kid has been growling at her ever since, and she were not that to be the continue to happen. Umberpelt is picking burrs from his pelts. As an old cat, he sometimes gets them from time to time. Leo, meanwhile, volunteers to lead the patrol. The older Tom's dedication is known to all, and everyone hopes that he can bring them to victory. Leo gives a smile and looks to his closest friend of this clan, Rushmurk. It's been a little hard getting to know these cats again, especially since he disappeared for so long. Sees that he's finally found his place. Rushmurk is puffing her chest out yet again, continuing to be arrogant as she always is. It's annoying to some, but to Rushmurk, that's just the way she is. Sparrow Street tries to set a good example for the younger cat, with 4 kids now in the territory. It's important to set a good example, especially when they're about to become apprentices. The kids watch as Sparrow Street tries his best to teach the others, but they're ambivalent to the Tom at best. Dry Shadow is hoping Whispering Stripe assigns her to the next patrol. She's been wanting to get out. Her claws are getting rusty again. And if their claws get rusty, she can't defend the territory well. She's ready for whatever is thrown her way. Whisker Kit is annoying other older cats with all of her questions. She just can't help it, you know. She's asking where kids come from, why the territory's there, why they keep talking about parasites, and so forth. They try to get Whisker Kit to quiet down, but she seems to refuse. Frog Kit is asking the older cats how kittens are made. They are understandably not answering her, and Frog Kit is continuing to get angrier and angrier, saying that Wolverine Kit told her that Flint Hollow can't have kids. Flint Hollow gets annoyed at this, tells Frog Kit to bother someone else for the day. Wolverine Kit is whining for milk. Despite being 5 years old, she still wants the warm touch of drill taster nearby. The others are saying she's too old for milk and that she's going to become apprenticing. But Wolverine Kit just wants the warm touch of her mother. Bronca is busy mastering a battle move she is performing incorrectly. She's going to be an apprenticing, so she has to be the best battler she can think of. As the other kids watch her try and train, they seem to be caught up in their own affairs. Kit knows better. She's going to survive this place. The ominous glow, CyanClan's troubles, and against the enemy clans too. It's what she needs to do. Let's look in the afterlife now. Branch Shimmer currently walks in the dreams of Whisker Kit. Whisker Kit seemed vaguely aware of Paradiso, having been raised as a clan cat, but isn't sure who this young stranger is. Whisker Kit tries to ask questions of him, but Branch Shimmer unfortunately cannot answer them as he is pulled away once again. Hearing the laughter of the abyss as they tell him he can never return. Drizzle Chaser is worried about CyanClan. Will they take care for kids? What if they mess up? These kids were everything to her. And they were going to bring back the clan traditions. She just hoped that they would be good warriors. Soon, the cats are assigned on patrol again. Rushmurk, Flint Hollow, and Whispering Stripe decide to go. Flint Hollow is tempted to eat the prey he just caught. His stomach has been rumbling again, and he wanted something actually good to eat for once. Rushmurk and Whispering Stripe don't seem to notice, but thankfully, Flint Hollow resists the temptation and makes the great catches to make sure that the other cats are fed. He knows better than to take prey without permission, even if he's been gone from the clan a bit. Warmstar, Sparrowstreak, and Dry Shadow next go off, and they come across a large mutated rat. They see the touch of the abyss on it and know that they have to kill it. Unfortunately, they miss the rat as it scurries away and growls. Their confidence is shaken, but Warmstar tells them to keep going, and they soon move back to territory. Umberpelt goes out to gather cobwebs, thinking of the dream he had last night. Was it sent by Paradisa? He wasn't sure, but he can't make sense of the vision, it seems. Perhaps it was nothing. He keeps worrying. What is the meaning of all this? Why were they being attacked in particular? Was it because of their mutation? He did not know, but he knew that the kittens were about to become apprentices, in hope that one might just become a successor. CyanClan. Unfortunately, soon afterward, Umberpelt went missing. Nobody was sure where he was during the time, but nevertheless, cats were ready to become apprentices. Warmstar goes out to see what has happened to Umberpelt, but soon realizes that the Tom had died. Noting his body, he isn't sure what caused the older cat's death, but it's easy to say that it could just be old age. Nevertheless, he looks down at Umberpelt and mourns the losses. Moments of the life are shared in stories. The circle of mourners thinks about Umberpelt, bringing his body back and burying him. He was never the most trusted cat, but they miss him nevertheless. The apprentices are getting riled up, however, especially with the death of Umberpelt, and soon they are given their mentor. Whiskerpaw sits excitedly beside Sparrowstreak as the meeting ends, and hopes she'll be doing something exciting like battle transfers. Her claws are itching to tear at something. Meanwhile, Frogpaw chooses to become the medic in Umberpelt's death. She's worried about being the only one with Paradise's guidance, but she isn't going to fail Mom. Wolverine Paw soon loudly announces that she wants her mentor to be Flint Hollow. Warmstar didn't get much of a chance to choose, but Flint Hollow accepts it, and as Wolverine Paw strides forward with confidence, Flint Hollow touches her nose. They're ready for whatever comes their way. As Frogpaw touches noses with Rushmore, she hopes she'll get to do something that'll really impress the clan on the first thing. Maybe she could catch a big fat rabbit, or chase off a fox or spirit. That'll show the clan she's the best apprentice anyone's ever seen. During this process, Warmstar gives Frogpaw something to adorn her pelt as congratulations. Frogpaw couldn't be happier, even if Umberpelt's death still weighs heavily. Whispering Strike states that Umberpelt was trying to get her to sneak out before he died. Warmstar seems a little skeptical, but nevertheless, he isn't sure how to judge Umberpelt with his passing. Warmstar challenges Wolverine Paw to spar with him. Wolverine Paw accepts and gets a good training session as she gets ready. Whispering Stripe and Warmstar have a wonderful time discussing recent clan news. On one hand, they had lost Umberpelt, but on the other, they have 4 new apprentices. They hope the apprentices can carry on CyanClan's legacy. Whispering Stripe is surprised to hear Frogpaw express an ideal she can agree with. Whispering Stripe wasn't a clan cat at first, but Whispering Stripe nevertheless seems grateful that Frogpaw is like her in a way. She hopes Rushmore can train Frogpaw well. Sparrowstreak figured about something trivial with Dry Shadow, but nobody's sure what. Perhaps it had something to do with Dry Shadow talking very openly about Sparrowstreak's secrets, such as his crush on Whispering Stripe. Nobody knows for sure, but they soon stop bickering and move on with their lives. Rushmore thinks Warmstar is very helpful and is eager to have Warmstar's approval. She continues to puff her chest out loudly and hopes to train her new apprentice soon. Flint Hall wishes he could get his pelt to shine like Thronk's. Flint Hall knew he was getting old, but Paul still made him just a little jealous. That shiny white pelt and that perfect look, that look of innocence, the innocence he would never return. Dry Shadow helps Warmstar pick burrs out of for his fur. Warmstar is grateful for Dry Shadow's help, and the two continue to remain some of the closest friends in CyanClan. Former apprentice and former mentor, continuing to be strong. Whiskerpaw said she'd cover for something for Frompaw, but when it came time, she got Frompaw in trouble. Frompaw was irritated and thought Whiskerpaw was going to cover for her. The two sisters seemed to give a little bicker before moving on. Frogpaw had a spat with Dry Shadow over a piece of prey in the fresh kill pile. Frogpaw continues to show an aggressive attitude and isn't going to let some warrior stop her from getting her food. Wolverine Paw, on the other hand, has proven much nicer to Frogpaw. Wolverine Paw saved a fresh piece of fresh kill that she knew was Frogpaw's favorite. Frogpaw is grateful, and Wolverine Paw promises that they'll keep working hard for the sake of CyanClan. Frogpaw is wowed by how bravely Whiskerpaw fought the other day. And by fight, he of course means Whiskerpaw was fighting with a cloud of dust, but Frogpaw doesn't care. She just loves her sister's bravery. Warmstar called an important clan meeting recently. He has a lot to talk about soon. And it's not just about Umberpelt and the apprentices. It's about his own concerns. He continues to note the situation that everyone is in and how they'll solve it. Whispering Shrub is assigning cats to a border patrol, just like any good deputy should. She's still annoyed that she hasn't gotten an apprentice yet. But that isn't the end of the world. She knows the other apprentices will be trained well. Frogpaw was tasked with lining nests with fresh moss today. Frogpaw may have not had a mentor, but she still had to work. She did just that, and as the only medic, she lined the nests to make sure everyone was comfortable. Despite her training as a medic, Frogpaw is a fierce cat. She's willing to argue with whoever gets in her way and will do anything to be the bravest cat on the field. Flint Hollow is repairing one of the camp walls, which had become a bit broken after some holes were gnawed on it. He didn't know where the gnawing came from, but his concerns. We'll be okay. Nothing could have been as bad as being taken away by the two legs, after all. Rushmore is being begged by Wolverine Kits, or Wolverine Paw rather, to teach her a few moves, despite Wolverine Paw being barely an apprentice. Rushmore just puffs her chest up and says Wolverine Paw can learn it on her own. Wolverine Paw seems to scoff. Hey, I'm an adult too. No, you aren't. You're 6 minutes old. Now get back to work, Rushmore tells Wolverine Paw. Bear Street, meanwhile, wonders how Dry Shadow was doing. They had a bit of an argument recently, but he still cared about the young dame and was hoping she was doing her best. Dry Shadow, meanwhile, is telling the warriors to get ready for a battle. They wonder if it's a battle against the parasites, or just a battle that Dry Shadow is desperate to be a part of. But Dry Shadow seems determined that she's going to stop some kind of threats. She always did seem to be a few steps ahead of everyone, and some wondered if it was an omen. Whiskerpaw practiced battle moves with her claws out, trying to be fierce and strong. Like her sister, she's fierce, and some would even say a little bloodthirsty. Whiskerpaw doesn't care, however. He loves to fight, and she especially loves to get other cats in danger. Her enemies, of course, but still, she was a ruthless little thing. Wolverine Paw feels so proud of herself for doing so well in training today. Flint Hall already seems to be showering her with praise. Wolverine Paw is confident. Some would even say a little cocky. But Wolverine Paw keeps her chest puffed out and walks with determination. She's gonna be the best apprentice there is. Ron Paw, meanwhile, ends up starting a fight with another one of the apprentices. Which one? One you may be asking? Well, it was probably Whisker Paw, who had gotten Front Paw into trouble. Front Paw was bloodthirsty despite her fur-covered pelts. She would fight and fight and fight. She didn't see much difference between rogues and wipes. She was just eager to get in whatever fight she can get her little paws at. Meanwhile, the cats continued to look up. Umberpelt is still trying to get used to being dead and wonders if the parasites are there. He simply sits down, thinks to himself, hiding who knows what secrets as he brushes his tail. Branch Shimmer is feeling quite lazy and has spent much of his unlife laying around. After all, it's better than being worried. Drizzle's Chaser wonders if any of her old clan is here. The clan she came from had long since disappeared, but perhaps there are a few cats that remembered. She might need to ask someone at some point. Branch Shimmer was clearly too young, but Umberpelt might know. During this time, the cats are soon ready to go off on patrols. The first being the Border Patrol, with Rushmerk, Frostpaw, and Dry Shadow. Frostpaw, and immediately Frostpaw finds a loner who offers their healing skills in exchange for some shelter. Frostpaw wonders if she should try to fight off the cat, but she also knows that they're so low on healers that they need the help they can get. So Frostpaw tries to open a paw. She welcomes the medic into the clan, and the cats soon meet up with Goldshade. Goldshade is ambitious and an ex-medic. He used to be a clan cat of sorts, not a full clan by any means, but definitely someone who took upon Paradise's thoughts. He was also known for being a great prophet. That is, he saw things others could not see. Perhaps he will be a great mentor to Frogpaw, who's needing all the help she can get. Cats decide to check whether their new healer has any kind of mutations they should think about. As they wonder, they note that he is in fact lacking in mutations, making him yet another Norman to have come across CyanClan. Nevertheless, Goldshade is welcome. They need more medics ever since they lost Umberpelt, and perhaps Goldshade will be more trustworthy. Frostpaw is grateful to have introduced a new medic, and they seem grateful to Frostpaw. Soon, Flint Hollow, Wolverine Paw, and Whispering Strike go on patrol. While on patrol, Wolverine Paw notices some suspicious paw prints in the wet sand on the beach. She decides to check them out, and she finds that there are her own paw prints. Wolverine Paw huffs in embarrassment and can't meet eyes with the rest of the patrol. Whispering Strike and Flint Hollow just roll their eyes as they watch the once cocky apprentice now embarrassed at herself. She'll get over it in no time. The remaining warriors go on patrol. Sparrow Shriek, Warmstar, and Whisker Paw. The patrol soon hears the screaming of a cat begging for the two legs to come back and the sound of a monster speeding away. They had seen what had happened before. The last cape had been perished, but Warmstar isn't going to let another cat be hurt by the two legs. Unfortunately, it's too late, and yet another cape has left here. Warmstar silently sends a prayer for the cape and can't help but to curse the two-legged who abandoned such a loyal cat. There was definitely something insidious going on, and Warmstar would need to talk about in due time. The medics, meanwhile, aren't going on patrol. Goldshade decided to bring Frogpaw with him. Goldshade and Frogpaw head out for Longwood, with Goldshade starting the lesson on the value of his rare herb for treating Yellowclaw. Frogpaw seems to listen to the ambitious Tom, but they do not find anything. Frogpaw soon seems to forget and seems not to take in a single thing Goldshade tries to teach. And by the time they're back in camp, Goldshade wants to screech. Are you listening to anything I'm saying? Goldshade asked Frogpaw. Something? She shrugged. Goldshade just rolls his eyes. Ah, I can still fight at least. You are a medic. Yeah, but I can fight. Never mind. As Goldshade goes off in a huff, Warmstar soon calls an important clan meeting for everyone, including newcomer Goldshade. The cat soon announced that they would be taking their revenge on the two legs. They were disgusted by the treatment the two legs had been giving their cats, and soon held a new mission. If they found any two legs, they would attack them, and if they found any victims, they would try their best to bring them home. The cat seemed to agree with the sentiment, and Warmstar smiles, saying that they have declared war on two legs, as well as the Acreos abyss. Some of the younger cats were wondering whether the two legs were part of the abyss, but nobody seems to be completely sure. As the day ends, the next season comes. Sparrow Streak unfortunately didn't look where he was going and tripped over a small trunk, spraining his paw. Dry Shadow, meanwhile, has gotten a bit of a running nose. This will be a good time for Frogpaw to practice being a medic, and for Goldshade too as well. Warmstar admires how brave Frogpaw is. She's already getting herself into fights and is doing her best to defend the clan. He admires that, especially since Frogpaw has found Goldshade. Whispering Stripe is giving Sparrow Streak a task. Some wonder if the task is a little more than just friendship building. Sparrow Streak thinks he can tell Frogpaw something important, and soon brings Frogpaw with him. The bloodthirsty white cat seems surprised, but Sparrow Streak seems to be willing to tell her. Rushmark had a difficult conversation with Sparrow Streak a little before, and it's both of them end up resentful of one another. What exactly is Sparrow Streak hiding? Flint Hall, meanwhile, thinks that Dry Shadow hasn't been completely honest lately. He wonders what that young dame is hiding, and tries to ask her, but Dry Shadow simply brushes it off. He needs to know more. Dry Shadow always thought Sparrow Streak had it all figured out, so she's surprised when Sparrow Streak asks for help. I'm surprised you're asking me of all people. It's just a lot. Sparrow Streak notes. All right. Dry Shadow doesn't seem too bothered. Whiskerpaw shares her favorite prey with Frogpaw, and the two seem to appreciate each other. Frogpaw realizes that Frogpaw's life isn't as easy as she thought it was, realizing that maybe being a warrior apprentice was harder than she thought. Wolverine Paw helps Frogpaw work through something difficult that happened to her. The two apprentices sit down to talk about the loss of their mother, and seem to be getting close to it together. So what was Frizzlechaser wanting to do with us again? I heard that she wanted us to do whatever we can to keep Paradise and the clans up. Thank you. Am I a good clan cat? Frogpaw asked Wolverine Paw. I think you are. Come on. There's a lot more training to do. Frogpaw, meanwhile, is jealous that Frogpaw got to go to the last gathering. Frogpaw seems to be just a bit bitter. Goldshade, meanwhile, ended up having a fight with Frogpaw. Frogpaw's bloodthirsty nature nearly escalated the conflict, but Goldshade leaves in a huff and simply rolls his eyes at the obnoxious apprentice. The cats continue to live their lives. Warmstar thinks about what to say at the gathering. What would Jinko clan and the Moss clan think of the whole situation? Nation. Weren't they supposed to be known as the Mutant clan despite all the normies they found? What about their whole relationship with Two Legs? He wasn't sure, but he was ready. Whispering Stripe, meanwhile, wonders if Paradise has given Goldshade prophecies recently. She's heard Goldshade is a prophet. Maybe he's obtained a message? Goldshade is more interested in his next meal, however, and has been craving to taste the shrew. With Frogpaw checking up on the sick warriors. Spear shrieks out strain and Dry Shadow's got a bit of a running nose. She notes. She has to keep taking care of all of these cats. Flint Hollow doesn't approve of the trouble the apprentices have been making. They were always trouble. All these confident and cocky and roguelike apprentices. Someone ought to give these cats a better teacher because they were making heck among the clan. Rushberg is trying to set a good example for the younger cats, hoping that the apprentices will start to behave and know that their situation is very much serious. Sparrow Shriek is craving the taste of frog as he waits for the food to be gathered by Goldshade and Frogpaw. Dry Shadow wants to get to know Warmstar better, and has been hoping that they could continue to make their relationship strong. Ball is feeling quite lazy, especially since Sparrow Shriek's too injured to go. She's been trying to slack off without the other cats noticing. Wolverine Paw was tasked with lining nests with fresh moss today. She likes to help with Frogpaw from time to time, and the two sisters have been becoming very close with one another. That's good to know. Frogpaw meanwhile wants to visit Frogpaw at the Mystic Den. She wants to make sure her sister is doing well in her duties, and that they can continue hanging out despite their differences. Frogpaw has realized that Frogpaw's job isn't easy. He wants to make sure that Frogpaw is feeling all right. Let's check. Are they in love enough? No, they're not. Yeah. Meanwhile, up in the stars, seemingly separated by red mist, Umberpelt is watching over Frogpaw. And the medic of the clan, he hopes that she can do her job well. Though her whole loyalty to the clan is making him nervous. She's got too much hope in her head, and Umberpelt thinks. He brushes his cardinal feathers and continues to walk. Branch Shimmer, meanwhile, is judging Wolverine Paw, who he thinks is way too cocky for her own good. Wolverine Paw had too much of an ego, and he didn't think any of the other warriors were helping that ego. Drizzle Chaser is acting huffy at Branch Shimmer, saying that he's not allowed to insult with Kit. Wolverine Paw is beautiful and strong. She has all the reason to be confident. Ugh, I hate cocky cats like her, Branch Shimmer notes. The two have a brief conversation before dissipating once again. The cats soon go on patrol and ready themselves. Whispering Stripe, Wolverine Paw, and Flint Hollow decide to go together. They end up coming across a turtle. They manage to catch the turtle in the process. Whispering Stripe, Wolverine Paw, and Flint Hollow get a good meal. And they seem a lot happier now. Meanwhile, Warmstar, Dry Shadow go on patrol. Just the two of them. They notice the pod of dolphins shattering at them. Noting the presence of the creatures and continuing to wonder what their purpose in the greater scheme of things is. Warmstar gives the dolphins a few fish and tries to get some useful herbs for the medics. They're grateful of the dolphins, but they continue to wonder what exactly the dolphins are hiding, if anything at all. Frogpaw and Goldshade go on their typical medic patrol, worried about the stores of burdock and anticipating the plant's new leaf growth. Goldshade heads out to replenish the plant's stock, bringing Frogpaw along. The strengthening new leaf sun has tempted the fat burdock leaves to start to sprout, and it's not finding the target. It's trying to carry the root back to camp at all at once. That proves difficult. Frogpaw actually topples over at one point, although Goldshade pretends he didn't see, hiding his smile. It seems that the medics aren't going to dislike each other after all, and their life continues. Rushmark decides to bring Whiskerpaw and Frompaw on patrol, and they soon find Whiskerpaw soon stumbles upon a wounded cat near the thunder. Whiskerpaw is supposed to be a brave warrior and all, but she isn't just going to let some cat go. Perhaps she can check him out. The patrol approaches the injured cat to see signs of life. Alarmed, they gently pick up the cat and take them back to camp to be treated by the medics. Grateful cat, whose name is Ursula, decides to join. Ursula is a cold cat and doesn't really care much about anyone. But she has a strong connection in Paradiso, making her not exactly the typical cat. Typical loner. She is unfortunately yet another Norman. But they need all hands on deck, especially as they continue to work. As the sparrow sheep continues to lay in its nest, and the other cats leave, he decides to speak with Frompaw. Frompaw sits down to talk with Sparrow Sheep and asks what he needs. So, what do you need exactly? I mean, it's not like you're my mentor. I just need to tell you something. Sparrow Sheep, it's been weighing heavily on my chest. That's Sparrow Sheep signs. Okay. Frompaw tries to communicate back, but still isn't exactly used to signing. Okay, thank you. I have a lot to say. Sparrow Shriek admits to Frompaw. I kind of think I have an idea why we're in this situation in the first place. Sparrow Shriek notes, and I think it might have been my fault. Your fault? You don't seem like an evil cat. Well, I don't think I'm an evil cat, but Sparrow Sheep decides to tell Frompaw everything. Before I came across CyanClan, I was a rogue, and not exactly the nice kind of rogue either. I didn't exactly care much for anyone. So when the Abyss approached me, I tried to make a deal. Did they accept your deal? Of course they did. But now they're getting revenge on the clan. And I think they aren't happy with my joining. Primrose Crash has been watching me ever since. I vaguely know her since she's my grandmother. We were both rogues a while back. And she's not happy with what I've been doing. There she admits. So, why are you telling me all this again? Because I know you and understand. Have you ever thought about making a deal? Would be nice. So, how do I make it? Oh, this isn't the lesson you should be getting out of this, Frompaw. Sparrow Sheep interrupts. What I'm saying is making a deal is bad. Because they wanted me to rope up cats for them, but I didn't listen. And now they're punishing me and the rest of the clan for what I've done. So You're on our side, right? Grandpa asked. Yes. I don't think I can get off your side, considering Whispering Stripe is there. Well, if you need help with that, I can help. 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 Hopefully the abyss won't bother you too much. Hopefully the abyss won't bother you too much either. I'm worried about Dry Shadow. She might have gotten wrapped up in one of their deals. I hope she didn't. She didn't. But she is a little scary. So are you. Me? Really? I just like violence, Grandpa. Okay. So does she. But violence isn't always the way, Sparrow Shriek admits. Okay. I am going to keep my training going. Sparrow Shriek nearly stops her and tries to say, I tried to tell Rushmere, but she got very angry at me and insulted me for my stupidity. I guess she had a point, Sparrow Shriek notes. Okay, well, I'm going to train with Rushmere, Grandpa tells Sparrow Shriek before going off. As Sparrow Shriek continues to lay with his brain, he glances at Ursula, knowing that the captain may have been sent by Paradise Zone or by a force darker. Dry Shadow and Whiskerpaw both got stomach aches during this time, but Dry Shadow's running nose has finally stopped running. Warmstar continues to admire Whiskerpaw's bravery. Whiskerpaw's bravery. And Whiskerpaw seems to be bathing in the compliments. The apprentice continues to be strong. Warmstar, Rushmere, and Whiskerpaw had a nice talk while eating. The three cats are starting to get along with one another. Whispering Stripe realized she may have been too harsh in her judgment of Frogpaw. Yes, Frogpaw was bloodthirsty. Frogpaw also clearly had a loyalty to the clan. She kept watch of the white cat and continued to hope for the best. Sparrow Shriek just thinks about telling the secret to Frogpaw, but Frogpaw quickly seen blabbing about other secrets and soon realizes that maybe it's not the best idea. Rushmere thinks she can tell Goldshade something important, and quietly mutters something about Sparrow Shriek's own secrets. Sparrow Shriek doesn't seem to notice, but Goldshade seems to have a look in his eyes. Is he making deals, or is he simply just thinking? Whatever the case may be, Flint Hollow and Goldshade are starting to get a closer friendship. Flint Hollow was really surprised that Goldshade's life isn't as easy as he thought it was. Being a medic is difficult, and Goldshade chose that he has to take care of everyone. Dry Shadow is telling jokes about Whispering Stripe, and Whispering Stripe is not appreciating the young dame in her general attitude of aggression. Whisker Hall, meanwhile, stands tall when Wolverine Paw walks by, trying not to look weak and proud of her more confident sister. Frogpaw and Frogpaw continue to have a good relationship, and Frogpaw admits that she feels most like herself when around Frogpaw. Two sisters continue to bond. Wolverine Paw thinks Whiskerpaw is very helpful, and the two are seen helping to train one another during the apprentice's down. Wolverine Paw, Warmstar, and Froggy Paw took a sunbathe, have a little small talk. Soon, continue the leader bonding with the apprentices. Frogpaw and Whiskerpaw surprise them something nice. And Frogpaw appreciates Whiskerpaw's gesture. The two give a smile and soon continue on the training despite the dark clouds above them. Goldshade asks Whispering Stripe how she's doing, and Whispering Stripe gives a smile. No, she says she's doing good despite all the circumstances. And Goldshade smiles back. He notes how brave Wolverine Paw is, and wishes that while he is a medic, he wants to have as much ambition as she does. Goldshade imagines what his family with Rushmere would look like. Having just a bit of romantic thought with Rushmere. Rushmark isn't exactly reciprocating, however, and Goldshade is left looking from afar, continuing to look just a bit dreamy about kids. Ursula admires how grateful and Hollow is. She wishes she could be that brave, especially when she's confined in this den for now. Umberpelt, meanwhile, back in the afterlife, doesn't want to talk to Drizzle Chaser. And Drizzle Chaser is judging Sparrow Street for what he's done. Umberpelt and Drizzle Chaser seem to be chatting, and Umberpelt says that sometimes it's good to be ruthless. Drizzle Chaser disagrees violently. Windshimmer, meanwhile, thinks about future prophecies to give with Umberpelt. Somebody's got to give the prophecies when they're locked away. It's their duty after all. Meanwhile, the cats continue to live their lives. Warmstar has called yet another important meeting recently. And starting to discuss how the first of the abyss parasites have been found within the clan. He isn't sure where the parasite is, but he's going to do something about it. He knows that perhaps they'll be in there somewhere, waiting to wake up. Whispering Stripe, meanwhile, wants to get to know Dry Shadow better. Dry Shadow has been a bit bloodthirsty. Some would say even more than usual. The Whispering Stripe is nervous about that. But she nevertheless wants to get to talk to Dry Shadow, especially since they haven't had much of a friendship yet. Goldshade is eavesdropping on Warmstar and the whole talk about parasites. He wouldn't exactly call himself an expert on herbs, but he knew that he had to keep good watch on anything strange. Frogpaw is listening into Goldshade while Goldshade is not looking. And starts asking himself about parasites? And someone? That sounds funky. Flint Hollow continues to be annoyed by the trouble the apprentices are making, and seems to be in a bit of a huff. Why can't the apprentices just behave for once? He thinks to himself. Rushmark continues to try and set a good example for the younger cats. To have confidence and to be strong in themselves. That way, they can trust her and the others. Sparrow Streak is sparring with some of his clanmates despite his injury. Warmstar in particular seems to be accepting of this. Goldshade doesn't exactly approve of Sparrow Streak, possibly exasperating his injury, however. Ursula, meanwhile, wonders how Whispering Stripe is doing as she sits in the den. He curls her tail around and wants to get to know the deputy better. Dry Shadow, meanwhile, doesn't want to go on patrol with Frogpaw. She's not only sick, but Frogpaw may perhaps be even more bloodthirsty than she is. Hear Frogpaw muttering about how she wants to fight a cat for the 5th time in a row. So obnoxious. Whiskerpaw wants to get to know Dry Shadow better. Noting the name. And how all she seems on, she could be a good friend. Wolverinepaw agrees with the sentiment, and both apprentices want to know Dry Shadow better. Frogpaw, meanwhile, pesters Rushmark for more battle training. I gave you enough battle training, Frogpaw, but I want more. Not until you prove yourself, Rushmark admits. And so the cats go on patrol once again. Dry Shadow, Whispering Stripe, and Whiskerpaw decide to go on patrol. While not walking along the border, the patrol notices a Jupiter Clan patrol and named their scent marks on it. While Whiskerpaw and Dry Shadow are pushing for a fight, Whispering Stripe thinks carefully. She decides to be peaceful for once. It is quick to break the awkward atmosphere with a friendly greeting and easy conversation. The two patrols eventually return to their tasks, feeling confident in their good relationship with the opposite clan. Better to not start a war than to make one. Whispering Stripe may not like the other clans, it's still important to keep a good relationship with them. Rushmerk, Frompo, Frogpo, Rushmerk, Frompo, Flinthall, Wolverine Paw go on patrol. They end up coming across the large hand. Rushmerk is ready to catch it, and catch it she does, impressing both the apprentices and Flinthall in the process. Warmstar goes along with the remainder working news disappearing. He soon tracks the scent of a large dog wandering on the edge of the clan's territory. He would give his life to protect CyanClan, and as he tries to lead the huge dog away from the clan, he accepts what he's doing. The dog's eyes seem to glow with a curiosity, and as it draws the scent on his body, he wakes up and realizes that he has lost yet another life. Better to lose a life defending your clan than to something stupid after all. He just hopes he had led it far enough. The scars are still on him, and he walks back, giving a nervous expression. Goldshade and Frogclaw are going on patrol, with Greenleaf bringing the poppies to seed. So much time before plants die off in leafball, Goldshade is keen to collect as much as possible. Even Frogclaw knows so much the thing depends on poppy seeds being in their herb stores. The red poppy flowers are pretty, but it's the dried husk, like flower heads, that contain the poppy seeds Goldshade wants. And they take as many as they can. Frogclaw knows how crucial poppy seeds are for the clan, and Goldshade is proud of how hard she works. The atmosphere is quiet, yet tense. The nerves about parasites continuing to go through them. But as the cats sit, one of them seems to have disappeared for a moment. But as the cats continue to wonder about what is lurking, they know that the first remnants have come. Warmstar can already feel it. It's trying to get through to him, trying to make him be disobedient to the clan. But Warmstar isn't going to let the parasite do that. He stays strong, continues to look forward, hoping that Goldshade could perhaps remove it one day. And that's all. As you can see, I am doing some differing things with the parasites. So yeah, cats may get parasites occasionally if they interact with each other and go on certain patrols. And trust me, these parasites aren't good news. Let's just hope that Warmstar Broadhead can ward off against the parasites. Because if it can't, well, he might be toast. Also, we got apprentices now. And we got 2 new cats, which makes me very happy. Do you think Goldshade is a prophet for Paradiso or for something more sinister? What about Ursula? What's her whole connection to this? Find out more as we keep moving forward. Bye. Hope we can keep going on this journey.